forth back now on America's Forum, welcoming in our next guest, Jack Devine, the president of the Arkin Group and a 32-year veteran of the CIA. He's also author of Good Hunting, an American Spymaster's story. Jack, we really appreciate your patience, and we welcome you now from Newsmax, New York. It's good to have you, sir.
It's good to be back, JD.
Jack, we heard earlier from an ISIS fighter who says our airstrikes are not working. I'd like your assessment. Do you think the bombing is deterring ISIS?
I'm all for the bombing. I think the more the merrier, not to put a hard edge on it. But, they have vehicles, they have tanks, they have trucks. You want all of that destroyed. You want their financial infrastructure, the oil that they're selling at about $3 million a day. You want to squeeze their financial base, and you want to make sure it's not an army. So I think the bombing campaign is critically important. It takes time, and I think they're on the right path. The problem will be when we eventually destroy that army dimension to ISIS. They'll be back in the villages and towns, and how you dig them out is going to be a major challenge.
And while trying to dig out ISIS, we're also trying to determine what's going on with our friends. Information that we have is that the new Iraqi government is just as bad as al-Maliki's, playing sectarian games and stealing money, and we really can't count on them to defend Baghdad. With ISIS forces reported yesterday about a mile within Baghdad, can you tell us what's going on there, Jack?
Look, I've never been optimistic that we were going to have a democratic state that would be viable over the long term. We replaced Maliki, but we replaced him with someone who is from the same party. He's a Shia. He's less dynamic than Maliki, so I'm not confident that he has the leadership that's required. And they just have to make accommodations with the Sunni, or this is going to be a much more problematic effort. And we need to lean on them as heavily as we can to do that.
Jack, let's move from the Middle East to the Far East now. Any thoughts on what we are seeing transpire these days in Hong Kong?
Well, to be very blunt on this point, the thing that's keeping me up at night is Hong Kong. And because I think the ISIS, we're moving forward. We're doing everything that can be possible, and there'll be more and more pressure put on. I think we see the path. Where we don't see the path, I think, is Hong Kong. And I think the Chinese are deeply troubled about the implications, not only in Hong Kong, but below the tip of the iceberg in China. I mean, you're looking at a system that is fragile. They know it's fragile from a political point of view, and if the economy tilts, say it goes from 7 to 3% GDP, you're going to see the prospects of unrest. However, on the other side of it, it's careful. You need to watch carefully Hong Kong and how they handle it. It's a much more peaceful type of demonstration. They apparently clean up the trash that they leave behind. What I was looking at today is the Chinese are looking to wait it out. And frankly, if I were advising, I'd probably try that. But if they crack down, this thing can get out of hand.
And Jack, in the 2 minutes,
problem,
not to interrupt, but in the 2 minutes remaining, I just heard, correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that the unrest in Hong Kong, given the fragile state of the Chinese economy and what has been going on in China, that kind of unrest could spread to the mainland, you feel?
Yeah, I think that's what the Chinese are going to be supremely worried about. But the second thing that we all need to worry about is the impact on the Chinese economy. If you start to have instability and the economy starts to lag, then that's going to have repercussions around the world, and including here. So it's important that the Chinese economy remains robust. On the other hand, we need to be rooting for more liberalization of the political system. So there's a yin and yang on this, but we shouldn't lose sight of the fact how quickly we've seen governments that seem stable fall apart quickly. Egypt with Mubarak. So I think it's worth paying very careful attention to how this plays out. and it's a really difficult thing to manage when you have social media.
And the advent of social media, even though we hear the internet on the mainland, they talk about the great firewall of China. It's worth noting that there are possibilities to see unrest multiply. Jack Devine, as always, we appreciate your insights gleaned from that long, long career at Central Intelligence. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, your new book, In From the Cold, America's Spymaster, Good Hunting, the name of the book. Thanks so much for hunting down these stories, Jack Devine, and giving us your perspective on them. We thank you very, very much. Now,
thank you, JD.
Take good
Have a
care,
good day.
Jack. We appreciate it. Your thoughts on what's transpiring in Hong Kong. Tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. We're coming right back.